for the day, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic visit to Ukraine and meeting with President Zelenskyy. PM Modi is in Ukraine. The Indian Prime Minister arrived in Kyiv on a historic visit to the war-torn country. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine since the country became independent in the year 1991. India and Ukraine have shared a multifaceted relationship, including a robust trade partnership. However, the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 disrupted those ties, impacting bilateral trade and cooperation. With Prime Minister Modi's visit, there is now a renewed focus on restoring and potentially enhancing these trade ties. Before the war, India and Ukraine enjoyed robust trade relations with key exchanges in agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and engineering goods. Ukraine has been a significant supplier of sunflower oil, while India exported pharmaceuticals, machinery, and chemicals to Ukraine. Bilateral trade between the two countries peaked at $3.3 billion in the year 2021, but the onset of the war severely impacted that. Supply chains were disrupted, and the security situation made trade logistics challenging. A global disruption in the markets for key food crops and fertilizers especially threatened food security worldwide. The war led to a sharp decline in trade ties between the two countries, and Ukraine's capacity to export was significantly hampered due to the conflict, particularly in the agricultural sector where it was a major global player. India's reliance on Ukrainian sunflower oil, for instance, was deeply affected, leading to increased prices and a shift towards alternative suppliers. As a result, the volume of India-Ukraine trade dropped from $3.3 billion in 2021 to $2.5 billion in 2022, the next year. India's exports to Ukraine dropped by over 22.5% to $85.4 million, while Ukraine's exports to India fell by 17.5% to just over $1.5 billion. Despite these challenges, there have been efforts to restore trade to pre-war levels. During the 2023 G7 summit, where Modi met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, discussions around revitalizing trade were initiated. Both countries expressed a willingness to overcome the hurdles posed by war and re-establish economic ties. PM Modi's visit to Ukraine has symbolic as well as practical significance. It marks the first visit by an Indian leader to Ukraine since the war began and is a clear signal of India's intent to balance its relationships with both Russia and Ukraine. This trip is expected to focus on many key areas as well, and his visit is likely to emphasize restoring trade and economic cooperation to pre-war levels, among other things. This includes discussions on resuming agricultural exports from Ukraine and ensuring a stable supply of goods like sunflower oil to India. Another critical area of discussion will be defense cooperation, especially given India's interest in diversifying its defense partnerships across the world. Ukraine has expertise in sectors like aerospace and armaments, which could be areas of mutual interest. Modi's visit comes just weeks after his trip to Russia, where he met Vladimir Putin. Balancing these relationships is a delicate act for India. While New Delhi enjoys deep ties with Moscow, it also recognizes the importance of engaging with Kyiv, particularly in the light of its global aspirations and relationships with Western powers.